Hey, this is Todd. I'm a regular dude walking in the Word. As today we are, this is the second episode of Leviticus. Remember, yesterday we talked about Leviticus. Leviticus is a book. It was, but it is a book that is an instruction book. I have my coil nailer here, and I have my instruction book on how to use it. And this book here of Leviticus, it tells me how I need to relate to God. Okay, in the Old Testament, what kind of sacrifices I need to do, how I need to eat, what laws pertain to my life, all that stuff. It's laid out here in the book of Leviticus. So I want to start today by reading verses 1 through 3 of chapter 1. Let me get rid of my nail gun here. And this pertains to us here as we start off with a bang here. So this is Leviticus chapter 1 verses 1 through 3. Today I'm actually reading out of the King James Version. I very rarely do I do that, but today I am because of some key words, the way it's written here. Okay, so it says this, Leviticus chapter 1 verses 1 through 3. And the Lord called unto Moses and spake unto him. Okay, that's why I don't use the King James normally, because we don't spake, but we speak to each other. But anyway, he spake unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation. Okay, let me stop you there. This is right after the book of Exodus. This is takes place. It really would continue it on, but while God was speaking to Moses on the mountain, Mount Sinai. This is where this took place, where God gave these instructions. So Exodus and Leviticus are tied together. It's a book that was spoken out of when Moses was on that mountain. Okay. So he was spake unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, ye shall bring your offering of cattle, even the herd, and of the flock. Verse 3. If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. Okay? There's a lot of things I could say about this, but I wanted to focus on this one thing today, where it says, he shall offer it of his own voluntary will. Okay, this book of Leviticus, it's voluntary. Okay, there's laws and stuff, but you can choose to obey those laws or disobey those laws. These sacrifices that we're starting off with, it's all voluntary. Now I would highly recommend that if you were in the Old Testament here living at this time period, that you do all the sacrifices, but it's voluntary. And so God had called those people, out of Egypt. That was voluntary. They could have stayed in Egypt if they would have wanted to. But he called them out to follow him. And the whole act of following God, it's all voluntary. He doesn't force us to do that. It's our choice. It's our own free will. It started way back with Adam and Eve, where they had the free will. God gave them the free will to sin or not to sin. That the fruit was there, and they had the choice whether to sin by taking it or not sin, and they chose to sin. Okay, God didn't put up a block wall around it and with armed guards and everything else around that fruit, because that would no longer be a choice. But he allowed that choice to happen if you wanted to sin or not to sin. And so he's allowing that choice to happen all the way through Leviticus here too. If you want to obey, do these sacrifices, it's voluntary. It's up to you. And if you want to, do the laws and everything, it's all voluntary. If you wanted to, back then, they were forbidden from eating shellfish and pork. Well, there was a good reason for that, because if you don't cook it right, you're going to get sick. And so there was a good chance of that. So you could say, well, you know what? I'm going to eat a whole bunch of crabs and shrimp with my pig. And who knows, good chance you could get sick and die. Okay, they didn't have that medical care like we have today. But God gave those laws, and it's all voluntary. I bring it back to us now that God has a relationship for us. Okay, it's continued on through the New Testament, and it's all voluntary. He does not force us to follow him, but it's a voluntary act that we have. We can choose to follow him or not. And so I invite you today to volunteer to follow him. It's an easy thing to do, to follow him and to do it voluntarily. And like I said, he doesn't force you to do anything, but he invites you to be a part of his plan. Okay? So, hey, thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue looking at the book of Leviticus. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.